Good morning all of you. We will continue with the civics chapter, parliamentary government, and today we'll have a look at the Rajya Sabha. We have studied about the Lok Sabha, right? So today we'll study about the Rajya Sabha. Now the members of the Rajya Sabha, they are not directly elected by the people. Lok Sabha members, they are directly elected by the people. We have Lok Sabha elections, and through that people are elected to the Lok Sabha. But for Rajya Sabha, we do not have direct elections. Who elects the members of the Rajya Sabha? Yes, any idea? Who elects the members of the Rajya Sabha? Yes, the members of different state legislative assemblies. Alright, we have so many states in our country. So the members of different state legislative assemblies, they vote for members of the Rajya Sabha, and the president, he can nominate 12 members to the Rajya Sabha. The total strength of the Rajya Sabha is 250. Alright, so Rajya Sabha, total strength is 250, 12 are nominated by president, and the rest 238, they come from the different state legislative assemblies. Alright, okay. Now, how many members would be there from the different states? Now that depends on the population of that particular state. Means if the state has more population, then more members will come from that particular state. If the state is small, it has less population, then less number of members would be there in the Rajya Sabha from that particular state. Alright? Okay. Now the term of Rajya Sabha. The term of Rajya Sabha is 6 years. The term of Lok Sabha is 5 years, but the term of Rajya Sabha is 6 years, and it is also called as a permanent house. Now what does permanent house means? That all the members, they are never, means, or you can say it is never completely dissolved. 1/2 of its member are always there. Only 1/3 retire every 2 years. So every 2 years 1/3 members will retire. What will that mean? 2/3 are still there. So always 2/3 will always be there. So that is why it is called a permanent house. It is not like Lok Sabha. Like every 5 years we have elections for all the members. Right? That is how it happens in Lok Sabha. But in Rajya Sabha, that is not the case. Fresh elections are conducted only for that 1/3 places. 2/3 would always be there. Okay. Now, the members, they can be re-elected if they want. They can again contest for the elections, or they can tell that they want to be re-elected again, and if the people elect them, then obviously they can be re-elected to the Rajya Sabha also. Now, for anyone to be a member of the Rajya Sabha, there are certain qualifications required. First and foremost, that the person should be a citizen of India. Then age here is 30 years. For Lok Sabha, what was the age? 25. But for Rajya Sabha, it is 30 years. Means a person needs to be 30 years and above to be a member of the Rajya Sabha. Alright. Then again, he should not be an offender, proclaimed offender. He should not be a criminal. Then he should not be holding any office of profit, means he should not be a government employee, state government or central government employee. Then one more thing here, his name should be on the voter list of that particular state from which state he wants to be elected. For Lok Sabha, what was the thing? That his name should be on the electoral roll. Means it could be from any part of the country, but his name should be there on the voter list. But in Rajya Sabha, his name needs to be there in the voter list of that particular state, from which state he wants to be elected. Okay? Alright. Now, so there are two houses of the parliament, the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. What do you think? Which house is more powerful? Huh? Yes, what do you think? Alright, so though Rajya Sabha is called as the, Rajya Sabha is also called as the upper house. Alright, it is also called Rajya Sabha is called as, another name for it is Council of States. Why it is called Council of States? Because we have members from the different states here. That is why it is called as the Council of States. Okay. Now, though it appears sometimes that both have equal power, and sometimes people might say Rajya Sabha, but in reality Lok Sabha has more power. Alright, now see why. First, only Lok Sabha can pass a vote of no confidence. Like, government is ruling, and if the members of the Lok Sabha feels, the opposition, one is ruling party and there are other members also. Alright, so if the other members of the Lok Sabha, they feel that the government is not working according to the constitution, alright, or if like they have done something which is against the constitution, against the values of the constitution, or a very big blunder against, or it could be they may have passed certain law which is against the welfare of the people, or a very huge mistake, alright, then it depends that the members of the Lok Sabha, they can pass a vote of no confidence. What that means is that we have no longer any confidence in this government to run the country efficiently. Means we don't have any confidence in this government. So they pass a vote of no confidence, and if it is passed, when it is passed, then the ruling party, they have to prove their majority again. And if they are able to prove their majority, then they stay in power. But if they are not able to prove their majority, then what happens? The Prime Minister along with his council, they all have to resign, and we have fresh elections for a new government. Okay. So this power only Lok Sabha has. Rajya Sabha does not has this power. Then all money bills. There are many type of bills, but money bills. Now what is a bill? Any idea what is a bill? It is a proposal. If you want to pass a new law, or you want to make any changes in the already law, already there is an existing law and you want to make many changes in that, so you have to pass a bill. Bill is a proposal to pass a new law or to change an existing one. So money bills, now money bills would be proposals to pass new it could be new taxes, or something concerned with the finances, money of the country. So all the money bills, they had to be introduced in the Lok Sabha only. Money bills cannot be presented in the Rajya Sabha. Otherwise, ordinary bills can be presented in any house. They can be presented in Rajya Sabha first, and then they can be sent to the Lok Sabha, or other way around also. But money bills, they have to be presented only in the Lok Sabha. Then Lok Sabha, because it is directly elected by the people, whereas Rajya Sabha is not directly elected by us. We elect the members of the different state legislative assemblies, and then they elect that who will be the members of the Rajya Sabha. But for Lok Sabha, we have direct elections, and so it enjoys more power because it is the body of the people's representatives, and that is why it has more power. Okay, now let us have a look at some of the important functions and powers of the Parliament. Now Parliament, like I told you, it is the highest law-making body of the country. It is at the center, alright, highest law-making body of a country, that is the Parliament. Now main function, obviously, it is our highest law-making body, so obviously the main function would be to make laws, to pass new laws, or to make changes. So that is its main job, that it can pass laws. And now, in our country, we have different states, we have a central government also, so we have a federal form of government. What does a federal form of government means? That we have government at more than one level. We just don't have one government for the entire country. No, we have one central government for the entire country, and then we have state governments also. For different states, we have different governments. Then we have union territories also, and within the state also, at the third level also, we have local self-governing bodies in the form of panchayats in villages, municipalities in towns, and municipal cooperation in big cities like Lucknow. In Lucknow, we have a municipal corporation, right? So that are the different divisions. So, and now laws have to be made. So who will make laws on what particular things, and where or on which people those laws will apply? So according to that, there are three lists. Alright, so we have three lists subjects which are in the concurrent list. So both the central government can also make laws and the state government. So the main function of the parliament is to make laws. So it makes laws on all the subjects which are mentioned in the union list. Alright, and if you turn to the last page of this chapter, you will find that the union list, it has 97 subjects. Means it can make laws on 97 subjects. The state list has 66 subjects and the concurrent list has 47 subjects. So the central government, the parliament, it can make laws on all these 97 subjects and also these 47 subjects which are mentioned in the concurrent list. Because whatever subjects are here, both the governments, they can make laws. Now what subjects are included here? We will see during the course of this chapter. Now second, control on the second function is control on the national finance. So the parliament, it controls the income as well as the expenditure. Income would be how the government gets its income. You know, like people who work in offices and they get their salaries from there. Now how the government gets its money? So, you know, it gets its money through, what do you think? How? Taxes. Alright. So the different taxes, the government gets its money. That is its income. And now they have to spend that also. Right? On the services which they provide to us, then the salaries which are given for administrative purposes, they have to use that money. Alright, so the income and expenditure, how much money they will get and where they will spend how much money. Now all that comes under the responsibility of the parliament. It sees to all of this, so it exercises control over the income and expenditure. And the union parliament, it is said to be the custodian. Custodian means it takes care or it protects the money of the country, whatever money is in the country. So the union parliament, it takes care of that money, it protects that money, and neither a penny can be spent, means not even one penny can be spent, nor one paisa of tax can be taken without the approval of the parliament. So without the approval of the parliament, neither a paisa can be spent or taken from the people through taxes. Then the parliament, it also passes the the budget of the union government. Each year we have the budget passed. Yes. So the parliament, it passes the budget of the union government, and you know, it also has the power to even vote a cut. Means if the budget, when the budget is presented before the parliament, so the parliament can say that no, we are not okay with it, we want some cut in it. Means even it could be in the expenditure, that no, you are spending too much money on this area and it should not be like that, or you are taking too much taxes, the percentage of tax is too much, so we want a reduction in that. So they can vote for a cut also, or they can even reject the budget, that no, we are not okay with this budget, you have to come up with a new budget. So they can even do that. And so what we can say is that the parliament, it acts as a controller, means it controls the finances or the money of the country. Then the parliament also controls the government. So now the most important function of the parliament is also to have some control of the government. Now if you remember, when we started the chapter, we saw that the executive is answerable to the legislature. We saw that. Remember, the executive is answerable. What is executive? The ruling government. That means the prime minister and his council of ministers, they are answerable to the parliament, alright, to the legislature. And so, you know, they are answerable for its acts of omission. Means if they leave out anything, omission means exclude or left out, or commission means any order or instruction which they give. So for everything, what it means is that for everything that the ministers do, alright, so they are responsible to the parliament for that. And if the government, it flouts means if it disregards, does not show respect, if it shows disrespect to the constitution, then it can be voted out by passing a vote of no confidence. No confidence we have already done just now. So if the government has worked, it has shown disrespect to the constitution, not working according to the constitution, so the people of the parliament, the other members of the Lok Sabha, they can pass a vote of no confidence against the government. Alright, okay. Then the members of the parliament, they can also move an adjournment motion. Now adjournment motion basically means to postpone. Like whenever the parliament meet, they discuss some few things, all right. They discuss the details. It could be a certain policy, it could be some problem in a particular state. But if everything is going on normally and they are discussing on a particular thing, but a problem arises in one of the states. So what the Lok Sabha can do, the parliament can do, they can pass an adjournment motion that whatever they were discussing, they will postpone it for a further day, and on that particular day they will discuss about something else. Means maybe some urgent matter has come up and they want to discuss about that, so they can postpone the discussion of the earlier topic for that day, and on that particular day they can discuss about that urgent issue. So they can do that also. And then if any incident has happened, something wrong has happened in any particular state, or like there are so many ministers. We have railway minister, home minister, defense minister, education minister, tourism minister, and in any department something wrong has happened, so that particular person, that particular minister can also be scolded. He can be reprimanded for the wrong that he had done, or the wrong that had happened in his ministry or in his department. Then each day 1 hour is set in the daily routine of the parliament whenever they are in session. So 1 hour is left, is kept separate, and in that particular hour the members of parliament, they ask questions to the ministers. Alright, whoever are the ministers, means the prime minister and his council of ministers, I told you. So they will ask questions to these ministers who are in charge of the various departments in the government. So they can ask them questions, and they can ask about anything, they can inquire about anything, any policy they have made, or whatever they are doing in that particular state. Means they can ask about all that. Okay, and so basically they can ask questions, and the ministers, they have to answer them. They are obliged to answer them back. And basically in this way what happens, a check is kept so that no one can misuse their pass, and also to know that the different departments are working properly or not. So they can ask questions to the members of the different departments in the government. And then judicial functions. So the parliament, they also enjoy certain judicial functions. Now what that it means is that it can also impeach the president. Now president, vice president, the judges of the Supreme Court and the High Court, once they are in office, then they cannot be removed from their place unless they are impeached. Like if they do something which is against the constitution, if they show disrespect to the constitution, or if it is shown that they are not capable of doing their job well, then they can be removed from their position through a process which is called as impeachment. And now this impeachment also is passed just like any other bill. Means you have to pass an impeachment motion in the parliament, and from one house it will go to the other house. If they pass, then it goes to the president. So likewise they can remove the president in this particular manner. So they have this pass, and now in our country till now no one has been impeached so far. Then electoral functions. So the parliament, it also plays important role in the election of the president and the vice president. Then amendment of the constitution. Our constitution was made so many years ago. When was our constitution adopted? 2 dates: adopted and enforced. Yes, come on class. When was it adopted by the Constituent Assembly? Last chapter we did that. When was it adopted by the Constituent Assembly, and when was it enforced? Yes, come on. Anyone? 26 November 1949 it was adopted, and 26 January 1950 it was enforced, and that is why that particular day we call it as a Republic Day. Alright, okay. So our constitution was, at that time it was adopted and enforced. Now according to time, there are changes in the society, there are changes around us, and so the rules and regulations, they also have to be changed according to the change in society and according to the change in time. And so now constitution also can be amended, means you can make changes in the constitution also, and this can be done through the approval of the parliament. Now for some parts, means some small minor issues, simple majority will do. Simple majority means like 25-26, so 26, okay, pass, you can do some changes like that. But for some major issues, they need to have 2/3 majority of both houses of the parliament. So till the time 2/3 majority of both houses of the parliament, they do not pass that constitutional amendment bill, that till that time no changes can be made in the constitution. So the parliament has that power also to amend the constitution. Now the parliament, it meets twice, so they meet twice a year, but if necessary they can also have a third session. Normally the two sessions are during springtime and autumn. Then after the general election, just after Lok Sabha election, the president, he calls for a meeting of both houses of the parliament. So he calls for a meeting, and then they take the oath also. The president, he addresses the members of both houses. So after the elections, what happened, the Lok Sabha elections, the president, he calls for a meeting of the joint session of the Lok Sabha and the Rajya Sabha. Alright. Then first hour of each day, this we have already done, that in the parliament, first hour of each day, what is that? That is the question hour, in which are the ministers, the members of the parliament, they can ask questions to the ministers, and then they have to give them the replies, give them the answer. And this time is said to be the most interesting and lively time. You must have seen the proceedings of the parliament sometimes. Have you seen? Alright, there's so much chaos and confusion going on. Someone is shouting, they're asking questions, the other one is replying and all that. Okay, so this time is said to be the most interesting one. And now parliament meetings, they are held in the Parliament House in New Delhi. And you must have seen, it is a large building, circular in shape. Have you seen? Alright, okay. So for today, we will stop here, and we will continue again.